Morning, all. All right, so I want to talk about the Flames to start off today based on what they did last night. Now, I already did a video in the last week where I talked about their depth chart. Their depth chart stays basically the same. Huberdeau ends up sliding into the spot Tkachuk had, although I think he'll play a role more akin to what Johnny Gaudreau did for the team this past year. And they had Uyghur on the blue line, which is something that it's easy to underrate. I think it makes their defense really quite good. It takes some of the pressure then off of Valimaki to necessarily make the team, or puts more pressure on Valimaki, right? So, and at the very least, it means that there's not as much concern, you would think, in Calgary that Valimaki doesn't have that big season and doesn't get back into the Flames lineup. They should still be okay if that doesn't happen. So, for cap hits, right now they have $9.3 million in cap space. Now, they still have to sign Mangiapane, right? Restricted free agent, and Shillington, restricted free agents. Mangiapane's 26, Shillington's 25. One of the first things that jumps out with Calgary. This is a team that has to win this year. We're in a situation now where it feels like Brad Treliving knows the patience will run out eventually, right? He's been the general manager in Calgary since April 28th of 2014. That's 8 years. He's had 8 years, and GMs don't typically get an unlimited amount of time to build a winner and to build a champ. And Daryl Sutter has been coached since March 4th of 2021. And one thing you wonder with Sutter, and we saw this in LA, things were great in LA, 2 Stanley Cups in 3 years. But then they turned ugly at some point. And eventually, we were hearing reports about the players not wanting to play for Sutter and all this other fun stuff out of LA. But it didn't start out that way. So for Calgary, it feels like, they may understand, look, we got to do this year. And I really think they're all in. So all these discussions of, getting rid of Huberdeau at the deadline, that only happens if the Flames aren't in a playoff spot. Huberdeau is UFA next summer. Makes $5.9 million. At least that's the cap hit for this season. He is 29 years of age. But what's interesting is when you look at the contract situation that Calgary's in, they can completely revamp this team next summer and the summer after. And they can do so as the salary cap starts to take some serious climbs, right? 2 years from now, the salary cap is supposed to increase quite a bit. Calgary could be in really good position, either to hold everybody together or to revamp the team without needing a retool, without needing a rebuild. They might be one of those teams that can afford to offer some big contracts. So Backlund's contract expires in 2024. $5.35 million is his cap hit. He's 33 years of age. Lucic, that contract finally expires next summer. His cap hit's $5.25 million. He's 34 years of age. It's possible they keep Lucic on a cheaper deal beyond this coming season. And again, that saves them some money, right? Blake Coleman, who signed last summer, $4.9 million cap hit for Coleman until 2027. He's 30 years of age. I could see a situation where, let's just say Calgary falls apart. Let's just say everything falls apart. They sell off Huberdeau at the deadline. They sell off Uyghur at the deadline. I could see them then going to Coleman and saying, look, it looks like we're going to have to do some sort of a minor retool here. Are you interested? And if he says no, they might be able to move that contract out, right? Lindholm, and I'm just speculating. Oh, wild speculation. Lindholm, $4.85 million cap hit for him until 2024. He's 27 years of age. So for Lindholm, I think that's one they really will want to keep. I really think that's one that they're going to do their best to hold on to. Not that they're not going to be sitting down with Huberdeau right away and saying, look, what would it take? I understand a lot of Florida fans saying, well, he wants to test the market. Understandable. And for Calgary, what they've done is they bought themselves at least 55 games before he reached the trade deadline, maybe 60. So they bought themselves that amount of time and that amount of games with Huberdeau in the lineup before they really have to worry about it. Now, Toffoli, $4.25 million for Toffoli until 2024. He's 30 years of age, and yeah, we'll see how the next couple seasons go. But again, notice 2023, 2024, 2023, 2027 for Coleman, 2024. And then it's 2024 here too, before we reach another 2024, and that's Dylan Dubé, $2.3 million. Now, of course, for Dubé, he's a restricted free agent, 24 years of age in the year 2024. But, well, he's 26 in the year 2024. But the one thing with Dubé is, because he's a restricted free agent, they could always turn around and say, we're not going to qualify him. Just everybody's gone. Everybody out of the pool. Everybody's gone. Kevin Rooney, they just signed him, but $1.3 million until 2024. He's 29 years of age. Trevor Lewis, $800,000 cap hit this year. He's a UFA next summer. 35 years of age. I mentioned Mangiapane being an RFA currently. Noah Hannafin, $4.9 million cap hit until 2024. He's 25 years of age. And he's getting better every year. And I really think that once we reach 2024, if he decides to go to market, it is going to be ridiculous the amount of money this kid could make. Because he does keep getting better every year. He may not live up to the hype he had when he was drafted, sure, but he's still a pretty darn good defenseman, and he's going to be young as a free agent. Rasmus Anderson, $4.55 million until 2026, so he's signed for a while yet. He's 25 years of age. Chris Tanev, $4.5 million, signed until 2024. 32 years of age. Nikita Zadorov, he came back, re-signed this offseason, $3.75 million until 2024. He's 27. Mackenzie Weegar, as mentioned, $3.25 million cap hit for him this year. He's a UFA next summer. He's 28 years of age, and I would expect a lot of teams to be calling him. Weegar's a very good defenseman, and I think Flames fans are going to like him. Then you get into the depth here. You've got Valimaki at $1.55 million until next summer. He's a restricted free agent. He's 23. And so we'll see what happens with Valimaki. You've got Milosh, $950,000 cap hit. He's RFA next summer, 25 years of age. Connor Mackey, $912,000 cap hit. He's a restricted free agent next summer, also 25. And then you've got Oliver Shillington, restricted free agent, who is 25 years of age. And then in goal, you've got Markstrom until 2026 at $6 million. 32 years of age, and either that's a very good contract or it sucks. There doesn't seem to be an in-between online in terms of opinion on whether or not Markstrom's worth that for that long. Either you are of the mind of he is a top 10 goaltender in the league, he's very good, or nope, that contract sucks, it's going to get worse. He had one good year, even though he's had 3 good years out of the last 4, but okay. And then you've got Dan Vladar, $750,000 cap hit until next summer, where he's a restricted free agent. He's 24 years of age. I think it behooves the Calgary Flames to get him re-signed and keep that tandem together. Vladar was good, and as a Bruins fan, I was sad to see him go. If the Bruins had really taken a risk and gone with Swayman and Vladar rather than bringing in Ullmark, they'd have more cap space right now. And while it might have made it more difficult this past season, it would have been fun to watch. Now, for prospects who might bump their way in here, you've got Pelche, Connor Zary, may very well bump his way into the lineup. You got Schwint, who they just picked up right from Florida. Don't pick him up because I don't want to use him. Ruzicka, of course, who did play some games last year. And Dustin Wolf in net. So one thing to remember with Vladar and Markstrom is Wolf at some point looks like he's going to be an NHL goaltender. Mentioned when he was drafted, it felt like he could be a steal where he was drafted. And so far, looks like that could be the case. So Calgary's in an interesting position. Almost every key player is due this coming summer or the summer after that. So the way I choose to look at it isn't, well, they better win or they're going to have to blow it up. They definitely are in win now mode, but they're also in a position where they can completely revamp everything 2 years from now. The problem is this, as exciting as that is for Flames fans, in the event the Flames fall back this year, the Flames have missed the playoffs 8 times since 2004. They've made the second round twice since 2004. 2004, they reached the Stanley Cup final. The expectation is going to be this team should get better. This team should go further. In the event that this fails, that everything falls apart, I don't think Brad Treliving's the one making the decisions in 2024. So when all these contracts are up, it could be another GM, which could signal a change in direction for the Calgary Flames, right? So for Brad Treliving, the deal that he makes yesterday with Tkachuk, yeah, he has to worry about Huberdeau and Weegar next summer, but he also likely is aware if he can't keep Calgary in a playoff spot, if they fall out of a playoff spot, if all this blows up, he might be out of a job anyways, right? And I think Treliving's done as good of a job as he could with Calgary. I think putting together a Stanley Cup winner is exceedingly difficult in this day and age because there are a lot of very smart general managers out there. And it is tougher to get a fleece. And I think yesterday's trade for Tkachuk, I don't qualify it necessarily as a fleece, but I will say this. A lot of talk about, well, Huberdeau's 29. Well, yeah, but let's not act like every hockey player necessarily dies at age 30 either. Yes, if you're signing a guy to a long-term contract and they're 29 or older, it can come back and bite you. But it usually comes back and bites you later, not earlier in the deal. So I do expect them to sit down and at least, try to negotiate with Huberdeau. And if he wants to go somewhere else, I'm sure they'll do their best to facilitate it. And then you can take Huberdeau, you can take Weegar, and you can use them to get other assets. So the good news is for Calgary, they got something out of Tkachuk, out of that deal, that they can then use to get other assets later if they need to, with a mind set towards 2023 and 2024. Most of your key players have expiring contracts. So if things go really well, if this team manages to get to, say, a conference final, a Stanley Cup final, maybe wins it, right? If that kind of thing happens, all of a sudden, a lot of these players are going to want to stick around. All of a sudden, you're going to have guys who want to come here maybe on a dime, right? Maybe cheaper, like we've seen with Tampa, like we've seen with now with Colorado. We've seen that with teams that once that success arrives, and for all the jokes people make about Toronto, for a while there were a lot of players that wanted to go to Toronto. And I think there still are. I think there are still a lot of players who'd love to play with Matthews, love to play with Marner, love to play with Tavares. So there's definitely something to be said for putting together a good roster, having a winning team, and showing a lot of success. And then players are going to want to play there. And that's the number one thing Calgary needs to do, because having missed the playoffs 8 times since 2004, and winning the Pacific in 2019 and in 2022, but doing very little in 2020 and 2021 in respective playoffs and generating excitement, they need that continued excitement, right? They need that to sell to the players too, because it can get overlooked. If you don't have that success, if your team can't get out of the first round other than twice in the last 18 years, it's not really a selling point then with free agents, with guys who are already there, because they're going to be looking at other teams on their TV when they've been eliminated and saying, well, I'd like to play there. It looks like they've got it all figured out. So I do think with Calgary, there's some more moves to be made, but with $9.3 million in cap space, a lot of that's going to get eaten up with Mangiapane, with Shillington. And so do they end up looking to move out another contract? Do they end up looking to make another deal? I would not be surprised if Treliving's still working the phones at least a little bit. But I don't worry as much about Huberdeau and Weegar being UFAs, because this team needs to stay competitive. Because in the event that they don't, and they fall out of the playoffs, that GM could be done. And it is that balancing act. And it can be tough, right? Because as fans, we might look and say, wow, this team has really given up a lot of futures for that prospect or for that player, that big name. But for a GM, it's survival. It's, if I don't make this move, I'm probably out of a job anyways. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you're a Flames fan, let me know your take on this. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And if anybody's wondering, this is a Zephyr hat that I got. It's the only one I have with that matches this Flames jersey. I got this one on eBay, like I think it was a year ago. So because everybody asks when I have a hat that's unique where I got it. So it was an eBay purchase. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.